Hello and welcome all. Atlas here, today with another awesome character to transition into the world of Skyrim. Today I have a really exciting one to those that are into the power of the arcane arts. We will be recreating what is the most powerfulest wizard in the world. He is also known as being a mythological hero and a historical figure, as well as wise leader, madman, antichrist, fighter of evil, Christian pagan, magician, scientist, prophet, and an advisor to King Arthur. This magical person that unlocks our future. He is Gandalf. He is Dumbledore in Harry Potter. He is a powerful and naughty magician. His presence is inescapable. He still uses his magic on us today in all kinds of ways, through games, films, books, and even television. Known as the magical mentor to Welsh Merlin and Merlinus Ambrosius, also known as the Wizard of Arthurian legend, I give you Merlin. Now, as what Atlas usually does, I've been researching deeply into the internet, as well as looking into books and watching films to give us an insight on our character. The Merlin we know today as a kindly old man with his long white beard and pointy hat and long robe looked very different to when first written and drawn about. Merlin has changed throughout the ages with different versions that the movies and TV series and of course animation have made Merlin to be. Merlin also has different combination of styles, like for example, you've got Druid, Celtic, Medieval, and of course Bard, that they have portrayed of him. According to Celtic and Arthurian mythology, Merlin is the most famous wizard of all time. So powerful was his magic that one medieval tradition creates him with the magical construction of Stonehenge. As we know today, it is an outstanding British monument that has survived from ancient times. Another one of his works was supposed to have been King Arthur's famous late copy, which can still be seen in Winchester today. Recently, I went on a visit to the birthplace of Merlin in Carmarthenshire. I did a bit of research there, and I was really fascinated with the history of Merlin. I wanted to see if I could get some more facts about him. I went on and explored it further just out of my own curiosity, and I was amazed what I discovered there, which I'm about to reveal. I went down the famous Merlin Walk, and there's a statue of him right in the middle of the town's centre. According to the Welsh language poetry manuscript, called the Black Book of Carmarthen, it is one of the national Wales's most treasured possessions, and it is the rarest book of Welsh poetry in existence. In the book, we find our ancient Merlin, written in the middle of the 13th century. There are 3 poems associated in the way of our Merlin figure. It is mentioned throughout the medieval times. According to the legend, Merlin was in love with a young magician, and she seduced him into telling her all of his secrets, and after she learns all of his secrets, she shuts him up in a glass cave. Merlin did not die, but went into hiding for all eternity. Now, I went looking for the cave, and the cave was supposed to have been located somewhere on this hill. That is where he lived, and apparently it is also his tomb. But sadly, I could not find the cave, or I could not see it either. Going back to the legend, it has been lost in time, and the cave up there, or somewhere up there, it has been sealed up. At the time of going back 1500 years ago, where eventually everything had overgrown and the cave is completely lost. But not to worry though, luckily I went into the museum and observed a legendary historical artifact of Merlin, which was the tree Merlin's Oak. This chunk of wood is one of the fragments of the Carmarthen Oak, which is a famous landmark for a good couple of hundred years. It ended up in a museum because the old tree was sadly poisoned in the 19th century because it became too much of a popular gathering point. and somebody in the neighbourhood decided to poison it. I know, right? Sounds a bit like wow, like a bit crazy, like you asked me. So you can imagine it had to be removed. According to local legend, that this tree also has got its story. It is also known as Merlin's prophecy. Merlin says, "When Carmarthen Oak shall tumble down, then will fall Carmarthen Town." Merlin, by saying this, put a protective curse on it. And in local tradition, Merlin also said Carmarthen would drown if the oak was ever removed. And since it was removed, Carmarthen suffered its worst floods for many years. And some even said a curious pointed notch in the tree was the face of Merlin himself. And even today, for that very same reason, that they don't have the whole oak in the museum, because the townspeople of Carmarthenshire are fearful that the worst would happen to it again. Obviously to the town. In a way, it sounds so cool and interesting, right? If you are ever in Wales and you happen to come by Carmarthen Town, it is a really must to go and visit. But anyway, moving on. For our Skyrim character basis, we'll be looking at the Greybeards to make our Merlin figure. In one of the moments when the Dragonborn first discovers that he is Dragonborn, as we know, he seeks counsel and hears a voice from the mountain. Now, I decided to pick the Greybeards because it reminded me of Merlin a little bit, where they're very old and obviously they are very, very powerful. I'm really excited to see of how this character is going to become about. But anyway, let's begin. A tale begins with a rich farmer who had lost his family and wealth because he was tormented by the incubus that had many names as demon or devil. The demon's determination was to destroy every soul in his family for no reason and just for the fun of it. The farmer had a large rich land with wife, son and 3 daughters that lived happily together. The demon started to destroy livestock and cattle, which had greatly distressed the farmer. Then later on, the demon strangles the farmer's son in bed. The demon knew by doing this will cause great sorrow in the household. And to torment them even further, he started to play tricks on the farmer's wife. Then she went insane and eventually she hanged herself. The farmer was even more devastated and never recovered from his loss and tragedy. He had fallen ill the one day and eventually he died. The demon devil still wasn't satisfied, so he turned his attention on the farmer's 3 daughters. One of the daughters was the first for temptation. She was caught committing adultery with a squire and was later on buried alive for the sin against the church. The 2 surviving daughters went looking for help from a priest who was a confessor and a clerk. The good priest suspected that the family had been invaded with evil, so he tried his best to advise the 2 sisters to lead them on the right path of God's salvation through prayers and penances by avoiding sins. Doing this disputed the demon's plans, but the demon could not falter failure, so he started to be cunning. The demon sent an older woman to lure the younger sister to sin and damnation. The older woman advised the young sister it would be wrong to lead a life without a man. The younger sister feared of sharing the same fate of her older sister who committed adultery. The older woman persuaded and twisted her mind by telling her to avoid punishment of the law. She should take on many lovers, so then the younger sister sold her soul to the demon when she started having affairs. When the last sister became a young woman, she heard of the news on what happened to her youngest sister. She was distressed and fearful that she would also fall into temptation, so she went to visit the good priest again. The priest was amazed at the news of her younger sister's debauchery. So the good priest advised the young woman that she must pray and believe in God, and each evening she must pray before going to bed. The priest also warned her that she must avoid anger or wrath, which he knew was the easiest way to fall into sin. The young woman lived a life of prayers and chastity. As for the demon was furious that his plan didn't work for another 2 years. The one day the young woman fled to her room and locked herself in. The demon made her distressed and angry, and all of a sudden she collapsed on the bed, weeping until she fell asleep, but she forgot to pray. The demon was really an incubus, saw that the woman had forgotten what the priest's warning was, and she had sinned through anger. As she slept, he made love to her, causing her to conceive a child, and named it Merlin. Many months has passed, and Merlin was already baptized. When Merlin departed with his mother, the priest decided to accompany the boy and test him with his remarkable abilities. Yet the priest was fearful of Merlin's power. Merlin reassured the priest that it was God's good will. He also retained his ability of the devil to see the true past, but the devil's hold on Merlin was broken. When Merlin's mother had followed the priest's own advice by having Merlin baptized at birth, the good priest became a good long friend to Merlin, and as for the other townspeople, they were still suspicious because he was the son of the devil. Many people still didn't trust him, including King Vortigern, who was the king at the time. He recently lost a battle and much of his territory was lost to the Saxons. So then the king fled into Wales, where he decided to build a fortress. Every day, the king had part of the wall built, but it would mysteriously collapse the next day. The king's advisors advised the king to find a boy without a father and kill the boy and use the boy's blood mixed with water so the building would not crumble again. The king's advisors conspired to have the boy Merlin killed because they knew that he would cause their death. When Merlin was brought before the king, Merlin found out what the king's advisors had told the king. So then Merlin told him that it was the most ridiculous advice and rebuked them for wanting his death. Merlin told the king the reason why his fortress always collapsed, it was because he was not building the wall on solid foundation, because there was a pool of water underneath the excavation where he was building, as well as 2 sleeping dragons, one red dragon and the other one was white. Another reason why the walls will always collapse was the dragons that fought one another since they were trapped underground. Everything Merlin had told the king was true. Then the one day there was a loud noise and the dragons smashed out of the hall and fought one another. And the red dragon was victorious and swiftly he flew away. The dragons are now gone and the foundation is stable to complete the construction of the king's fortress. And so the king named it Denis Amiris, which is Ambrosius Fort, that is named after Merlin, and he had him as his new advisor. And so the legend begins. Well, I really enjoyed that story and I hope everybody did too. Now we are on our favourite part of the menu where we can finally create our character. I'm really excited to see how Merlin is going to be created in Skyrim, and it's going to be awesome. And please don't forget to leave that like, subscribe and keep up with all the juicy updates. And also, before I start, I'd like to say a massive thank you yet again to all the fans, subscribers and supporters that are supporting this channel. Thank you very much, and it means the world to Atlas. And I almost forgot, if you know anybody that will be interested in these type of videos, then by means share my videos, and if you got any other characters that you wish me to start focusing on and creating in Skyrim, please, I would love to know your thoughts on what characters we could create. But anyway, enough chit chat, let's go. Okay, so then here we go. We are in our character creation menu. So okay, so I think we're just going to start off with, so we'll have a little read through characters and obviously which one would be the best for Merlin. So obviously it is going to be a mage build, as we know, So we're better off going for like high elf or dark elf. Now, according to the Skyrim menu, it says here, also known as the Altmer, in their homeland of Somerset, the high elves are the most strongly gifted and the arcane arts of all the races. So they are up on their highborn into magic. They can regenerate magic more quickly. So I guess the high elf, and we're going to look at the dark elf as well. But then I wasn't exactly going to go for these two because I really wanted like I don't know, something else like you know. But I think in the Skyrim version though, Merlin would have been an elf more than anything though. Sounds insane, right? But still, it sounds like really cool at the same time, like you know. But still, so it's entirely up to you what you pick. Like you know, I'm just suggesting that you know, like these two are definitely the best ones for magic. Like you know, dark elf and high elf are definitely the highest ones for creating the you know magic mage build. But I'm gonna do a total different one altogether. So what I want to go for is I want to go for the node category, and the reason why I wanted to pick node because I'm just gonna have a little look. You know, I'm just using my instinct here. So okay, so here we go, right? So pay close attention to this. This is going to be a highly detailed video. I'm going to try and do the best I can to get our Merlin character, but he's still going to look cool either way, like, you know. So okay, let's have a look at presents, as we know. So let's see what we got. And oh, that's okay. Hang on a minute. No, I'm going to go back to this one here. That is actually pretty good. Alright. Okay, so I already guessed this is the one I'm gonna go for. Okay, yeah, you wanna have... So I'm gonna have him as less weight as possible. So okay, we're gonna go into features now. So, he already looks good as it is. Like, as you know, I hadn't even done a thing to him yet. And he already looks brilliant as it is, like, you know. So okay, let's have a little look at complexure. So let's just have a little experiment. Because we want to give him that, you know, that all-powerful look, if you know what I mean. So I guess, yeah. So, okay, you can copy it exactly as I do, or you can just come up with your own, or use your type of instinct. But, you know, I'm just going with what I see in the screen, like, you know. So far, that does look good. Scars, okay. It's up to you. Either you want to give him scars, or... You know, or you don't want to give him any scars, but, you know, I'm not going to give him any scars anyway, so, okay. Okay, we're going to go on to war paint, so I guess we're going to go for more of a... I'm going to go for more of a Celtic, version, you know what I mean? But with, like, a medieval twist, like, sort of thing, like, you know? So let's have a little look, okay. Some of this war paint, though, is actually pretty good. Like, I like this version here. Like, this one looks cool for a typical mage build. But I wondered if they've got, like, a Celtic or something. That's not bad. Okay, getting there. Okay, sorry about if I keep fiddling around. I just wanted to see which is the best one for... You know, I love to experiment, and especially with characters and stuff like that, as everyone knows. But I'm just looking for a really good one to... Okay, I guess I'm going to go with this one here, because this one does look really good, so okay. So I want something that's going to, you know, stand out on his face a bit more. So I'm going to go for... I'm going to go with a blue. Like, that blue does look good, as you can see. Okay. Right, and now we are on to face. Right. So for a typical wizard, I've had a little look at some images, and basing off, like, I'm kind of going to base him off Gandalf a little bit. So I want his nose to be quite long, but not too long, if you know what I mean. So okay, so that's, as you can see, that's too short, so I want something like that. Perfect. Now, I didn't even have to do a thing there. That's brilliant. That is superb. I love that nose. I know it's kind of bizarre, isn't it? Like, you know, going through stuff like this, like, you know. Okay. Right, so length, I want somewhere in the middle here. Okay, maybe a little bit up more, I'd say. But not too much. Okay. Okay, nose length. I definitely want it quite long, because, you know, Gandalf's nose is quite long. So, okay, like, yeah, I guess I don't want his nose too long, but I want it long, if you know what I mean. So I guess, okay, I guess that's pretty good to me, because I don't want it, like, all the way up to here, like, you know, he's just gonna look like the Woody the Woodpecker, like, sort of thing. Now, to be honest, I'm just gonna go for, like, the middle slash one up, you know what I mean? Okay. Now we're on to jaw width. I don't think it's not really going to matter with his jaw width though, because it's going to be covered by a beard anyway. Like, I'm going to have the beard like quite long, I think. Anyway, like, so it's up to you. Either you want to like do this. So I'm just seeing a minute, like, well, okay. So his beard, his jaw height is, I've put it slightly down a little bit. So that looks great. Jaw forward. Yeah. Alright, cheekbone height. So I guess Gandalf has pretty high cheekbones, I think, though, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. So I'm quite happy as it is, though, like, you know. Right, I want it, like, slightly out, just a little bit, like that. Cheek colour. Yeah, I guess we could put that with the cheek. So when the beard and the hair goes on, like, you know, well, like, well, because I want his hair a bit longer than that, I guess it could go with, like, the extra bit of detail, like, you know, with the shadows of, like, where his hair is going to be dangling over his face. So I guess, yeah, that's going to be really, really cool. Okay, yeah, I can have laugh lines slightly in, like that, for the shading. Okay, lower cheek color level. Yeah, we could have that a little bit like that. Okay. Now, nose colour. I guess we could have a little bit of nose colour there, you know, because of like his because of his hat. Obviously, we want like a wizard's hat. It's got to be done right, like you know. I mean, it's not called Merlin for nothing, like, you know what I mean. Okay, right. As for his neck, we don't need to do that because he's going to be covered with his clothes. Okay, right. Eyes. To be honest, alright, I'm not sure actually. I'm just gonna have a little look anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna go for more something like that. That looks good. I like that. Okay, nah, I'm gonna go for like a really, really nice blue. I'd say something like that looks great. Okay then, eye height. So I guess I could put it a little bit up. Okay, eyeshadow, eyeliner, yeah, I guess we could give him a little bit of eyeliner, eyeshadow, yeah, that looks great. Eye tint for the, you know, with the shading of his hat, so yeah, that looks great. Okay, eyebrows, right. I'm guessing I'm gonna give him like really bushy eyebrows, like, you know, for like a typical wizard stance, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, something like that looks great. I'm gonna have him like slightly down, I think, as like that. Brow width. I don't want him too in. I want him quite wide apart, like that. Okay, brow forwards. Let's just have a little look a minute on the side so I can just see. I'm gonna put it in the middle actually, because that looks great. Okay, now we are on to mouth shape. Let's just have a little look. I don't particularly want a big mouth for him, so I want him like somewhere, say here, like that looks good. Let me just have a little look a minute to see which is a good one for his mouth, like. In fact, I don't really, like, I can see the difference in his mouth. But like, I'm gonna go for something about, say, here. Now that looks good. I'm just gonna leave it as like that. I'm gonna slightly put it down a little bit, so it's just about there. Mouth width, I want it in the middle. Chin width. It's not really gonna matter what his chin's gonna look like, but because it's gonna be covered anyway. Like, you know, so it's up to you. But I'm just, you know, just seeing how it looks. But I can see, like, you know, it slightly like lengthens the beard. I've noticed with like the chin length. Well, obviously, because obviously it's connected to his face. I'm just saying, like, you know. But really, we're gonna have like a really long beard, I think, definitely with Merlin. So I want it a bit longer than this. Okay, right. I know. I'm gonna leave it exactly as it is because that looks great. Okay, now we are on the best part. Now this is the hair, right? So let's see what hairstyles we got. Now that's not bad, but that'll be good for like I said earlier. But I wanted to go for a medieval twist, like I said. That's okay, I guess. But no, I want something like, you know, like it's got a little bit of a Celtic. I don't mean like too much like this. Like, don't get me wrong, it does look awesome, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. Like, you know what I mean? I need something that's gonna. Oh yes. Oh, Lamb, look at that. Now, as you can see here, though, right, it's giving him that edge. If you know what I mean, it's giving him a bit of an edge, cause like, you know, like that's with it plaited and that's with it out. So I guess I'm gonna go with the. Let me just see a minute. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the plaited version because that does look great. Or without, without the plaited version, it looks great actually. Okay, beard. Okay, in case you're wondering like what type of mod I'm using a mod called the Beards of Power. Honestly, it's one of those ones. It's like you definitely should get, like, you know, because all beards in Skyrim can sometimes mean, you know, somebody within high power, like you know. I don't know, like, you know, I'm just, you know, it's just the mod is just called the Beards of Power, like, and it's a one definitely to download, and it is awesome. It gives you that extra bit of detail to actually like perfect your characters, and I thought it was a really good one to do. So I'm just gonna go through because there is like hundreds of different types of this mod of like look at this one. Now don't get me wrong, it'd be good, yeah, but I don't quite want the bird there, like, you know what I mean? Like, look at now he's even got a chicken in his beard. We definitely don't want that either. So I want something like, ooh, now that's not bad. But I think it's a little bit too much, though. So, okay, but that's entirely up to you. Like, you have what you want on your type of Merlin, no? But for my Merlin, I want to have him a little something a bit different than that. So I want something that's too much. Not bad. That's a bit like a bit thing, innit? I'm gonna go back. Hang on a minute. Okay, now that is way too much, isn't it? Okay. Now I guess now that is gonna be good. Now that looks good. I'm gonna come back to that one in a minute, though. I just want to go. I want to go through it all a minute just to see, you know, which is the best one. Like, you know. So let's just see a minute. Let me just go through all this a minute. Wow, there's some weird types of ones in this mod pack. I downloaded though, in there. As you can see, there is like, like look at that one. Like, wow, like, you know what I mean? No, that's not bad. Okay, nah, I'm gonna go for that other one, that long one, that long version, that where it was plaited and it had like rings in it. I'm definitely gonna go back to that one because I think that was the one for this character, like, you know. Okay, right. As you can see, that is way too long. You know, you know what I mean? Nah, that's way too long. Okay, like, you know. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go for this one. I think I'm definitely gonna go for this one because this one looks cool. Okay, right. Hair color. I think we're obviously going to make it white, as we, you know, definitely, like, you know, if they've got, like, a white colour, I guess that's not exactly white, is it? 1 second, a minute. Let's just see a minute. Okay, I think I'm gonna go for this color. For some reason, it doesn't have like the white that I'm after, if you know what I mean. You know, because it's like quite difficult. Like that's like jet black, and then you got this one. Then, so I guess I'm gonna go for this one. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna go for this color. So okay, I guess he's pretty much done now, like, you know, as we know. So okay then, so now I guess we're definitely gonna call him Merlin.
Canal na trach, was letad, doch jelien lej. Canal na trach, was letad, doch jelien